Good morning, everybody. I'm Paul Krekorian, President of the City Council and representative of the 2nd Council District, and I'm so excited that we finally arrived at this day. This has been a journey that we started 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I introduced a motion in the Council to ask for a re-examination of all of LADOT's dash routes. And that was important because LADOT is the second largest provider of transit in the county of Los Angeles after the MTA. And we have, I think, 200 miles, right? 200 miles, Connie, or so of dash routes across the city. And they're an essential link to connect people with other transit, with schools, with shopping areas, with places of employment, with providers of health care. The dash lines are an essential element in that larger transit picture. But we hadn't re-examined the routing of those lines in many years. And we've made a lot of investments since then. Metro had expanded its transit system. There have been dramatic changes. You look at a place like the San Fernando Valley where there have been such dramatic changes in where people live and where people work. Just right around here in the NoHo Arts District. Look at how many new housing units we have right around this station. So it was an essential step to re-examine the routing citywide. So we did that. Put it in the budget, did the study, and North Hollywood came in Tier 2 in the first choices of new dash routes that we needed to add. So I had to keep pressing with that, and we had to provide additional funding to ensure that those Tier 2 projects moved up the list so that North Hollywood would be included in this first new dash line that we've added in the East Valley in over a decade. The only other existing East Valley dash line is the Studio City Van Nuys line. So when you look around North Hollywood and you look at the growth that we've had here, when you look at the fact that this station has become the transit hub for the entire East San Fernando Valley, one of only 2 Metro rail stations in the entire San Fernando Valley, right here, it was obvious to me that we needed to service this area with the dash line. And here we are, finally, with this great new addition to the East Valley's transit future. I've said this before. My mom grew up in North Hollywood, and when she was a child in the 30s and the 40s, she could get wherever she needed to go on public transit. And we've seen that that degraded and degraded when the red cars went away and when other parts of the system went away. We became very car-centric here in the Valley. But through the work that Metro has done, through the voters' passage of Measure M, through the commitment of the Los Angeles Department of Transportation, we are changing that. We're fundamentally changing that and making it so that the young people of today have an opportunity to be able to get around and do the things that they do without a car. This line will service East Valley High School, Roy Romer Middle School. It'll service NoHo West, a $500 million investment that we helped to be made in the East Valley, with over almost 700 units of housing, shopping, retail, right here on this portal. We're looking forward to the District NoHo project, a $1 billion investment in new housing, in new retail, in entertainment and office space. All of this investment that's coming into the East Valley is providing new jobs, new residential opportunities, and this dash line and other investments we're making are going to provide the new transit opportunities for the people who are taking advantage of all of that as well. So with that, I'm very, very grateful to everyone who helped to make this possible. And I want to first recognize and thank our General Manager of the Department of Transportation, Connie Llanos. Connie?
Thank you so much, Council President. It is so exciting to be here. As the Council President noted, this has been a long time coming. But this service really does speak to exactly the kind of transportation system that we are working to build at LADOT under the great leadership of individuals like Council President Krekorian. We are really trying to create a system that gives Angelenos options for how they get to where they most need to go. So when we think about a neighborhood service that's going to allow families to get to schools, to major retailers and grocery stores, medical providers, and to connect them to other transit lines that can get them further across the region, this is exactly the kind of connectivity that we are looking to build, and the connectivity that we need if we really want to have the sort of safe, reliable, and sustainable transportation system in Los Angeles that we know Angelenos need and deserve. Transportation is also intrinsically tied to building out opportunity, as the council president said, and so we're incredibly excited about the economic opportunity that this is going to create, as it also helps people in the NoHo community get to jobs and other types of critical centers. This project was not easy for us to get us here to this point. As many transit providers are suffering right now, we're dealing with some challenges that have made it hard, whether we're talking about the transition to electrification or having the appropriate drivers to service our lines. But through a lot of hard work, we have a team that has really worked to create the efficiencies that we need so that we're able to provide the most critical services where they're most needed. So I do want to take a point of privilege to thank the excellent LADOT transit team that made this possible, starting with Chief of Transit Mariana Valdivia, our transit development team, Carrie Derderian and Kay Sasaki, transit operations, Yana Lowy and Jana Smith, and the entire transit bureau, who has done a yeoman's job at being resilient and taking every challenge that we've given them and really responding with excellent service. And we also cannot forget our excellent partnership with our contractor, MV, who helps us provide the incredible drivers and the incredible vehicles that we do. So with this, the beginning of much more excitement and connectivity for the East Valley, a place that is near and dear to my heart because it's been my home for many years. So thank you so much.
I should note this vehicle is electric. Not all of the vehicles on this line will be electric at first, but we're going to get there. And we're working right now on expanding charging infrastructure in the East Valley so that we'll be able to make this a fully electric line hopefully soon. Also, I should have noted that along the route, we'll have about 30-minute headways to begin with. But we hope and plan for that to come down to 15 minutes waiting time. We call them headways. 15-minute waiting time for people to get on a dash bus on this line. We're in the process of hiring up the operators who will be able to make that happen. So if you're watching this at home and you're looking for a great career opportunity and you want to come to work for the Department of Transportation, we're hiring. So come, put in your application and let's get you helping your community. And speaking of helping your community, I next want to introduce and invite up to the podium the Neighborhood Council Vice President for the NoHo Neighborhood Council. This has been a neighborhood that has, as I mentioned, undergone such dramatic change over the last 20 years or so. And we have one of the most active and engaged neighborhood councils anywhere, I think, in NoHo. And I want to ask James Askew to come up. He's also, in addition to his role, by the way, as a neighborhood council vice president, he's also one of our fiercest advocates for transit and active transportation in this area as well. So I want to invite up James Askew to speak. James?
Thanks. So it's a delight to be here today at the opening of the NoHo Dash Route. I'm going to keep this brief so we can go ahead and get on the bus and check it out. I want to thank the council president and LADOT and everybody who for their efforts to establish this route. We've long needed it as an important component of our transportation network, a regular route with predictable frequency that connects this regional transit hub to the employment centers, shopping, and parks in the community. This is the kind of first mile, last mile connectivity we need to make our community less car dependent. Thanks to its frequency, affordability, and reliability, this Dash line will create more opportunities for car users to shift modes for their short trips. I know I, for one, am going to use it to take my kids to school in the morning once it gets established, and I'm going to use it to visit our local brewery in the neighborhood. It's going to relieve parking pressures in the neighborhood when people have an opportunity to hop on a bus and come down to Magnolia and Lancashire. And having it is an important public asset for our lower income riders who make up the bulk of Metro's ridership. It gives them connections not only to the B&G lines, but also to this bus hub that we're standing in at the North Hollywood station so that they can connect to other parts of the network. So thanks again to everybody who made today possible. I'm really excited and look forward to getting on the bus with you.
Thank you, James. And, thank you for reminding me also of the importance of lines like this in supporting active transportation. We have a few streets that go through NoHo, Burbank being one of them, Magnolia being another, where there's been efforts for decades to try to widen those streets in order to allow more cars to go through. And as we've seen with the 405 improvement, what usually happens is you widen things to accommodate cars, you just get more cars, and you have the same level of congestion. So working with the neighborhood council, we've been able to prevent some of that widening from happening in order to encourage more use of bicycling and pedestrian and access. But in order to do that, you really do need to supplement that with transit like this so that people who aren't able necessarily to walk where they need to go, aren't able to necessarily to bike where they need to go, can still get through NoHo, get to NoHo, get around NoHo without relying on an individual automobile. And so they're directly linked. And so I appreciate your comments, James. This Dash line is also directly linked to jobs and business opportunities in this area. When I represented Studio City and the Ventura Boulevard part of Studio City, it was very clear to me how much the Dash line and the Van Nuys Studio City Dash line really was important to the small businesses and the business community in that area, and that's one of the reasons that I've pushed so hard for this line. And so I'm very pleased that we have with us now the Executive Director of the NoHo Business Improvement District to talk a little bit about that aspect of it. So I'm pleased to welcome Aaron Alenta. Aaron?
Thank you, Council President. So we are thrilled to welcome the Dash to the NoHo Arts District. Thank you very much to the Council President, Council District 2, and LADOT for bringing it here. We envision Dash complementing the array of transit options that are already available in NoHo and greatly enhancing the user experience here. And we hope that it will bring more locals to our local establishments while also increasing foot traffic to all of our great businesses here along Lancashire and Magnolia corridors. It's a terrific opportunity for the neighborhood stakeholders to come to the Arts District without getting into a car and looking for parking. Thanks again, and look forward to getting on the bus too.
All right, thank you, Aaron. So before we have a chance to hop on and take it for a test ride, I do also want to thank my staff for helping so much on this. I was telling Connie earlier, I think if I'm remembering correctly, I've been pushing for this project through the administrations of 4 or 5 general managers of the Department of Transportation. I'm not quite sure what we're up to now, but it was Connie that delivered it. So Connie and the rest of DOT, thank you very much for your diligence. And I want to thank my 3 people who have been fighting for this over these years. Saha Gedalian, who is my transit advisor now, his predecessor Doug Mensman, and his predecessor Daniel Lopez, all of whom worked on this. And then, of course, the rest of my district staff, my chief of staff, Caro Tarosian. Thank you all very, very much for making this day happen. So let's go ahead and hop on the bus and take it for a test ride.